a really great place for the university to be situated. That's, again, great restaurants, really great town. Students love to go down there, maybe grab a bite in the afternoon, go out for dinner with friends, things like that. I mentioned that this is the Oval. We have wireless everywhere on campus, so there are actually routers below the rose beds right here. And so students can have their laptops, do work, you'll see volleyball nets up, laying out, just hanging around, doing your thing. We'll move into the main quad in a little bit, but you can see Memorial Church is standing right here, which is a landmark of the university. And as you can probably sense, but we'll talk about for a little bit, Stanford is a very safe campus. I don't think I've ever felt unsafe once being here. You're never out of sight of a blue light. I'll let you guys find the one that's around here. Bingo. If you're at the blue light, you ever feel uncomfortable, ever feel like something's wrong or whatnot, you press the button and a police officer will be there 5 minutes or less. And the campus is actually so big that we do have our own police station, we have our own fire department, and we have a lot of different services that are aimed at keeping us safe. We have a free shuttle for students called 5 Shore. This is a mode of transportation any hour of the night, no matter where you are, you call it, they'll pick you up and take you anywhere you need to be, things like that. The dorms are locked at all times, you need a key card to get in, so we're never getting unidentified strangers or whatever in places they don't want to be. Anyway, we'll keep walking for a little bit. So another thing that is different about Stanford, although some schools out west do have it as well, is the quarter system. Most schools that you'll find are on the 15-week semester system, but Stanford runs on 4 10-week quarters. The fourth quarter is the summer and the 3 quarters are throughout the year. I personally love the quarter system. It does move a little faster than the semester because we are covering, for the most part, the material that someone would in 15 weeks in those 10 weeks. But what it allows you to do is take 3 sets of classes throughout the year as opposed to 2. Like I said, I took that dance in prison class. That is not something as a pre-med student I might have been able to do if I was only taking 2 sets of maybe hard sciences and math and things like that. Really about flexibility, wanting students to do things that they wouldn't necessarily be able to do, again, in that other system. It makes it easier for students to go to abroad. We can talk about abroad opportunities a little bit later, but it makes it easier for students to go abroad, for engineers and things like that, where it might not have been possible to take that much time off. They really want you to explore and take advantage of as many opportunities as we have on campus, because it really is limitless. About 68% of classes on campus are actually 20 students or less, and only 5% are 100 or more. But I'll put a qualifier there. I mean, in your first couple of years of being here, you are going to be taking more introductory level classes, and those will be the larger lectures. But even in those bigger lectures, Stanford really wants to put a focus on that intimate teacher-student relationship. So once a week in all of those lectures, regardless of a class you're in, you will meet with a smaller discussion section with a leader for that class and go over the material in a slower manner, make sure you really understand it, do a lot of hands-on activities and things like that. The professors always want students to get to know them. I know at every school they say we have office hours open, but I've never had an opportunity where I just knocked on the door, didn't even have a real question, the professor didn't welcome me in, wanted to talk to me, I ended up going for like 30, 40 minutes just chatting and wanting to get to know what's going on in my life. Last quarter even, I was in a class that we call an introductory seminar. We have over 200 of these classes, and their preference for freshmen and sophomores. These are classes that are capped at 15 students. So they really are fantastic opportunities for students in their first couple years of being here to get to know a professor, all taught by professors, no teaching assistants or teaching fellows. Really high on the level. We have Nobel Prize winners teaching these classes. And just last quarter, I was in a class called American Daughters. This is a class, I just wanted to take it just for the fun of it, didn't fulfill anything, wasn't a part of the major I was planning on going into, all about the role of the American daughter in literature. Only 3 other girls in my class. 4-person class. I don't think I ever had that small in high school. Like, it was just unreal to get to know a professor that close. It really just became like a personal book club, if you will. We just talked about what we wanted to talk about, spin around ideas, and discuss the books in a way that we found most interesting. So there really are a lot of opportunities for students to get those small classroom settings, even if they are having to take these bigger lecture-style classes. Any questions on?
Were you able to use that class for like general education requirements for graduation, or?
Now that one, That one actually did fulfill a humanities one that we had. But the thing about the introductory seminars is you find that although there are a bunch that will fulfill them, but by the way, the question was, did that class fulfill a general education requirement? The thing is, you find that a lot of students just want to take those classes because it's really random and unique opportunity to study something that they would never have studied. Like I guarantee I would have taken that class even if it didn't fulfill humanities. Students are taking a photography class on nature. It's these small, very specific sectors that that professor is extremely passionate about. And what they want to do is teach that and share that with the students. And so you find that, hey, this doesn't really fulfill anything, but when else am I going to get that opportunity to do that? So yes, and so the answer is yes. But
Another question about the small discussion groups.
Yeah.
Are those graduate students that lead those, or is it the professors themselves?
yeah, they actually can be graduate students. They're not usually the professors. They will be graduate students, and they actually can be undergraduate students as well. But anyone who is going to go, sorry, the question was the smaller discussion sessions, are they led by the professors or by graduate students? A big focus of the graduate programs here is teaching them how to teach. So it's not like we're getting a student just coming in here for the heck of it. They have to go through extensive training. We have a Center for Teaching and Learning, CTL. So anyone who's going to be teaching this class has to go through all of the classes and necessary procedures to become the best teacher possible. And that being said, all of those graduate students are working very closely with the professors to get the materials across the way that they need to. So yes, they are, but I have never found one that was not ready, willing, and able to help with anything and couldn't do it. I mean, they're the ones studying it right then, you know. Anyway, we're going to be approaching closer to the science engineering quad here. You may recognize the name on this building. You can see it. It's the William Gates Building for Computer Science. All right, we're going to actually turn this way. Bill Gates actually didn't even go to Stanford, but he felt so strongly in the education that the students were getting here and so strongly in the ideas that students were coming up with that he dedicated a building for computer science. One of the trademarks of that building are the amount of the amount of whiteboards that you find all around. Oh, thank you.
Let me slow down for you.
Yeah, those bikers, they just go right ahead. Like I was saying, there are whiteboards all around the building there because he really believed in collaboration. And you'll see I'll bring that up a lot. It's a big theme for all the academics to believe that anyone came up with an idea, maybe they walked out of class, you can collaborate with another one, write it on the board, not forget it, come back for it in the morning. Yeah. We're coming up to two other names that you might recognize. We have the William Hewlett Teaching Center over here and the David Packard Electrical Engineering Center over there. Hewlett and Packard were students at Stanford University, studied electrical engineering together, and as you may know, founded HP in years later. This teaching center is really used for a variety of things, but one of the very cool pieces that we have in there is the lecture rooms that we have. They're all a rotating stage. So if the professor is on at one point, another professor can be behind him working on whatever he needs to set up a demonstration. A lot of that is about, labs and things to show the students. All you have to do when the class is over, press a button, the entire thing rotates, the other person presses in the front, and you can start right away. Very cool. A lot of innovation at Stanford. I honestly think that that's one of the things that sets us apart is the pioneering spirit. And that doesn't necessarily, it's not just because we're situated perfectly in Silicon Valley. Yes, you will find a lot of focus on technology world and the advancements there, but it's really in all sectors. I mean, we have graduates and famous alums in entertainment like Reese Witherspoon and Sigourney Weaver and things like that, and athletics, Tiger Woods, and it's really that sense of we want to do the best in whatever we are doing at that time and forge ahead in a way that no one has done before. So it's that pioneering spirit, and you really feel that especially in the engineering quad where they're coming up with new ideas, they're trying to push the field to places where it just has not been before. The structure of the quad was set up so that it was perfectly in line with the main quad. The original design was supposed to be a series of quads for whatever was being built. The big plan actually the next 10 to 15 years is to move the medical school also in line with this. It's supposed to symbolize the connection between the departments, the interdisciplinary nature, and feeling that everyone is collaborating on the same page, working together. It's not just engineers alone in the corner, whatever they're doing, and the psychology students over there. Everyone kind of wanted to be together and working as a whole. If you walk around, you'll notice that it's very open spaces. We come here during the week, students are working together on this lawn. A lot of casual eateries. Over here in the bottom of the Huang Center for Engineering is Ike's Sandwiches. I'm a New Yorker, I know good sandwiches. Best sandwiches I've ever eaten, ever. Just incredibly good if you ever need something to eat. Great place to grab a bite. Here, we'll try and find shade. Everyone kind of, this is probably good for a little bit. Whew. And I'm going to just put the disclaimer out there that I am not the expert on the engineering. I'm going to give you what I can, but there is a manual online. If any questions for undergraduate manual for engineering, any specific questions, I'm going to direct you to that just because there's so much information to be learned about this area. But I'll kind of point out the key features and you let me know anything else you want to learn about it. I mentioned that this is the Huang Center for Engineering. One cool thing about that is downstairs is something called Room 36. This is the Product Realization Lab. And like I said, there is this very strong sense of innovation in our students on campus. In that lab, it can be any student. I don't even think you have to be majoring in product design. You go down there with whatever idea you may have. Maybe it's a new iPod that you want to come out, whatever it is. They have every tool imaginable for you to make that idea come to fruition. Mess around, try and build a prototype. The students have really done that. They've gone down there, they've tried out different things, and they've marketed their product. We just, someone that I know just came up with a new lens for a camera to make it different filters, kind of like Instagram, but for a real camera, selling it overseas and getting it made. Very cool. Over behind the Huang Center is a building called Y2E2 that is for engineering and energy and engineering. Over here we're getting new buildings in Bio-E and Chem-E, and this building is a center for nanotechnology and science. Very, very small, cannot even imagine the scale that they're working on there. Just a side note, happens to be the most earthquake-proof building on campus. So ground starts to rumble. I've never really experienced that before, but probably see me sprinting here in the trumpet, so we'll come back to this one. Yeah, working on very, very cool things here. All trying to work together, like I said, open spaces, interdisciplinary. It's very cool. So we can walk a little bit this way. Any broad questions on engineering or what goes on?
Do you know how many different types of engineering majors there are?
I don't, but we have a very wide variety. Yeah, so mechanical.
Another kind of random question is, do they encourage double majoring or not?
Great question. The question is, does Stanford encourage double majoring? I'm assuming that goes with minors and kind of things like that. Absolutely. I'd say one of the probably most common factors among students is that they have a variety of passions. They may be an engineering student, but 3 months later after meeting them, you realize that they love creative writing too. It's very common for students to have that kind of variety in what they like to learn. And Stanford definitely encourages that. I know a lot of students that are double majoring in minoring, majoring in concentration, things like that. We actually talk about majors right now. That's perfect. Although it changes year to year, currently our top 5 majors are computer science, human biology, which is the one I plan on studying, so we can talk about that in a second, economics, biology, and engineering as a whole. That combines all the engineering that we're talking about. So in those majors, one thing that's very cool is that Stanford has a very strong focus, I think I mentioned before, on interdisciplinary studies. So one of the majors there, human biology, may sound very similar to the field of biology, but here it's very different. Sophomore year, you're going to take what's called the CombBio Core. It's a series of classes that every student in that major is required to take. It exposes you to pretty much everything there is to know about just being human. It's going to be the hard biology that you'll find in that regular field, but it's also going to be studies in psychology, sociology, evolution, pretty much anything you can imagine. After that first year of learning all of that stuff, you get to pick your concentration in pretty much anything. You are crafting your major to your life. I know girls and boys who are studying global public health, who are studying child development, who are studying infectious disease. So after you've learned what you can in all of those different fields, you really dig deep in what you love most, and you go strong with that. A lot of students end up writing a thesis on that and things of that nature. Another example of that is symbolic systems, a very cool major here that combines linguistics, computer science, philosophy, puts it all together and finds a way to relate those two. We have another one called Science, Technology, and Society, STS, and this is a focus on how all those 3 factors influence each other in this world. I think that's very, very relevant to the kind of world we're living in today, and it's allowing students to pick what they like and really figure out how they want to use that in their studies. Like I mentioned before, the quarter system allows a lot of students to go abroad. Most students will actually choose to study overseas at one point or another. We have 11 overseas programs. Let's see if I can name them. Those are Australia, Beijing, Berlin, Cape Town, Kyoto, Florence, Madrid, Moscow, Oxford, Paris, and Santiago. These are offered throughout the year, but there actually are other opportunities for students to go abroad if they can't go during those 10 weeks, which does happen for some students. We have summer programs. One very cool one is Semester at Sea. This boat goes all around the world. It goes Asia, it goes Africa, it goes Europe, it goes to everywhere, and you take classes on that boat and get credit for that at Stanford. One of my friends did this summer, I'm very jealous. And if you can't do that, if you can't dedicate that amount of time, we even have seminars overseas as well. Those happen right before autumn quarter. Capture about 15 students, go to even different places, and give students the opportunity to just study a brief period of time right before they come to school, get exposed to other cultures. Although it's quite a bit of fun being on campus, we really push students to do what they want to do and go abroad, see the world, and get exposed to a lot of different things. But we do have as well domestic programs. We have a great program called Stanford in Washington. It's a prestigious program that sends students over to DC. Very intense internship. They live there. They breathe those political vibes and get really used to it. We have for our Earth Systems majors, we have an abroad program in Hawaii. Very, very cool. And closer by, we have for students interested in marine biology, they can work at the Hopkins Marine Center, which is also very cool. So my friends are doing that. Bottom line is we have a variety of opportunities for students to do this. All of the programs are very different. Some of them have language requirements, some of them don't, but I've never heard a bad thing about students going abroad. It's very popular. Right now, although it's very quiet, you can see in like the hub of it, this is the heart of Stanford academics. This is the inner main quad, and this is where most students will take their classes here. As you can notice, all the departments are connected by open archways. This was, again, focusing on that interdisciplinary nature. They wanted all the departments to be together and to feel connected, so you can't even really tell where one starts and the other ends. That goes back to that collaborative nature. And that's really what I found here as a student. I think that it can be very difficult coming in as a freshman and feeling like, okay, I was kind of top of my game before, but now everyone is top of their game, and where does that fit me? Where do I fit in this play? And I found that even at the beginning of the year when I was taking chemistry, and that was very difficult for me, that every single assignment, every single exam, every single thing I had to do was a group collaboration. And I'm saying that absolutely seriously, that it was working together, never feeling like you had to hide the answer from someone or compete against someone to do better. It was really a sense of, if you need help, I will help you, and we're going to get it done together and get you where you need to be. So I think that has been one of the most amazing things as a student here. Great shade. Let's gather over here. Here. So here we have Memorial Church. This was Jane Stanford's real project. Leland Stanford Sr. unfortunately died before the university could open its doors, so she created this church in his honor. It's a memorial to Leland Stanford Sr., and I think it's one of the most beautiful things we have on campus right now. Does anyone want to venture a guess at how many shades of color are on that mosaic out front? Just shades of color. Just any number, no wrong answer, except all of them are probably wrong. 1,000?
12.
More. 12? 100. More. 100? 22,000. 22,000 shades of color alone on that mosaic. It is an incredibly impressive piece of art, and stands, like I said, as a true beauty of the university. And you may be wondering, I told you that one of the grounding principles is that we be non-sectarian, but we put a big fat church in the middle of it. But it really is a memorial. It's not supposed to be divisive in its religious nature. It holds open services every Sunday to students. It's nice just to go in there on a Sunday morning, sit in the back, and just kind of reflect on the week to come. I really recommend, we're not going to have time to go in right now, but I recommend just walking around. It really is beautiful in there. Great organ setup and things like that. We can keep moving. Another very great tradition that I love that you'll notice outside of the church are plaques. And these are plaques that say the year number on them, lining from that part of the church all the way down. The story behind this is that pioneering class that I told you. Hello guys. Herbert Hoover was a part of. 1895 was a crazy year, and the seniors wanted themselves to be remembered. They're going off, and they want everyone back to school to know who they were and what they were doing. So the night before graduation, the rowdy class in 1895 bought as much red paint as they could. Thank you.
Grace, happy birthday.
They bought as much red paint as they could possibly find, and they splattered it all over the campus, painting 95s everywhere you could possibly imagine. Crazy, crazy year. They painted the walls, they painted the classrooms, they even painted the cow of the president. As you can imagine, the administrators were none too pleased about this type of prank, and they realized that they did not want to be cleaning up red paint every single year from the students who wanted to do this. So I think very cleverly, they decided that for